The ration pack disappeared from my hands so quickly I almost believed I'd imagined having it in the first place. One moment I was about to enjoy my dinner, the last chicken-flavored meal pack on this god-forsaken rock, and the next. Nothing. But empty air and the fading rustle of someone moving through the scrubland beyond my camp. What the eye jumped to my feet, hand instinctively moving to the pulse pistol at my hip. "Hey, get back here." The barren landscape of Helio 7 swallowed my words. 12 months stationed on this dust ball had taught me one thing. Nothing moved. That fast here except dust storms and regret. Whatever were. Whoever had snatched my dinner wasn't local wildlife. "Corporal Mercer, your heart rate has elevated by 23%, chimed the artificial voice from my wrist unit. "Would you like me to administer a mild sedative?" "No, Ven. I would like you to track whatever just stole my dinner." Growled at my standard issue, virtual emergency neural navigator. The AI's blue light pulsed in what I'd come to recognize as confusion. "I detect no unauthorized personnel within 50 meters, Corporal." I scanned the perimeter again. The twin moons cast enough light to see the rugged terrain surrounding my small, outpost rocky hills, patches of resilient copper-colored grass, and the twisted shapes of silicon-based vegetation. Nothing moved. "Run a thermal scan," I ordered, refusing to believe I'd hallucinated the theft. "Negative on thermal signatures beyond baseline ambient readings," Ven replied. "Perhaps you dropped your ration pack?" I sighed and rubbed my eyes. Yeah, maybe, but I knew better. 14 months on solitary patrol duty might be making me irritable, but I wasn't crazy. Not yet, anyway. Sleep came fitfully that night. My stomach grumbled its discontent while my mind replayed the moment of the theft. There had been something strange about the movement. Too fluid, too precise. Not human, but not like the lumbering gait of the few native species I'd encountered either. I must have finally drifted off, because the sound of something small hitting the ground beside my cot jolted me awake. I sat up, weapon drawn, to find my shelter empty, but something glinted. On the floor, a necklace. Or at least, that's what it resembled. A strange metallic pendant hung from a chain of interlocked rings, made from a material I couldn't identify. The pendant itself seemed to shift colors subtly as I stared at it. Blues and purples swirling beneath its surface like trapped nebulae. "Ven." "Analysis," I whispered, not taking my eyes off the object. "Unknown composition," the AI replied after a moment. "Material does not match any elements in database." I reached down carefully and picked it up. A warm pulse traveled up my arm. Not unpleasant, but definitely not normal. "Warning. Unusual energy signature detected," VENN said. A fraction too late. The necklace grew warmer in my palm, and for a second, I swore I heard whispers, distant voices speaking in languages I couldn't understand. "Fascinating," said a voice directly behind me. I whirled around, weapon raised, to find myself face to face with her. The woman, if that term even applied, stood perfectly still, regarding me with eyes that shimmered like liquid silver. Her skin had a subtle iridescence to it, and her features, while humanoid, were too perfect, too symmetrical. She wore what appeared to be a bodysuit that shifted colors with her movements, mimicking the pendant's swirling patterns. "You have strong neural pathways," she said, her voice melodic and slightly accented. The resonator responded immediately. I kept my weapon trained on her. "Who are you? What is this thing?" "My name is Nira." She showed no concern for the gun pointed at her chest. "And that is a neural resonator. It has chosen you, chosen me. For what?" Nira tilted her head slightly. "To prevent a catastrophe. Your people are digging where they should not." "The mining operation." I lowered my weapon slightly. The Colonial Defense Force had established this outpost primarily to protect the mining facilities 10 kilometers north. They will uncover the nexus soon. Her silver eyes narrowed. When they do, all mines connected to it will be irreversibly altered. I stared at the pendant in my hand, and this is connected to this. Nexus. It is a key, a control node. She stepped closer, and I noticed she moved with an unnatural grace, as if gravity affected her differently. I apologize for taking your food. I needed to observe you before making contact. You could have just said hello, I muttered. Your species shoots first when confronted with the unknown. Her lips curved into what might have been a smile. I preferred caution. She wasn't wrong. The CDF's first response to anything unfamiliar was usually to secure, contain, and study in that order, and rarely with the subject's consent. So why me? Why not someone with actual authority? Nira reached out and touched the pendant, her fingers brushing against mine. A jolt of electricity seemed to arc between us, and for a moment, I saw flashes of something vast structures buried beneath the planet's surface, glowing with the same energy as the pendant. The resonator chooses based on compatibility, not rank, she said softly. Your mind has the necessary patterns. I pulled back, unsettled by both the vision and the lingering sensation of her touch. And if I refused to help, then millions of minds, including everyone on this planet, will be merged into a single consciousness. Her expression darkened. Few survive such a process intact. Ven's alert tone chimed from my wrist. Corporal Mercer, scheduled check-in. With Lieutenant Reed is in 5 minutes. Nira stepped back toward the shelter entrance. They must not know about me. Not yet. Wait, I started, but she was already moving, her form seeming to blur at the edges as she slipped outside. I looked down at the pendant, now warm against my palm and pulsing with a subtle rhythm that somehow matched my heartbeat. What had I gotten myself into? The morning sun cast long shadows across the barren landscape as I trudged toward the main outpost. The resonator hung around my neck, concealed beneath my uniform, its warmth a constant reminder of last night's encounter. I'd considered reporting the incident to Lieutenant Reed, but something held me back, perhaps the resonator's subtle influence, or simply the knowledge that the CDF would lock Nira away for study if they found her. You're distracted this morning, Corporal, Lieutenant Darius Reed remarked as I entered the command center. Reed was a career military man, all sharp angles and sharper eyes. Trouble sleeping again? Just the usual, sir, I lied. Leah 7? Isn't exactly a resort planet. Reed studied me for a moment too long. The Geological Survey team reported unusual energy readings last night. Anything to report from your sector? I felt the resonator pulse against my chest, almost like a warning. Nothing unusual, sir. Just rocks and dust. Reed turned to the holographic display showing the mining operations progress. Well, they're making excellent progress. We've hit some kind of metallic structure, about 30 meters down. Command thinks it might be an ancient outpost. My heart rate spiked. The Nexus. They'd found it already. Interesting, sir. Any theories on who built it? Above our pay grade, Mercer, Reed's tone was dismissive. Our job is to secure the site until the science team arrives tomorrow. I'm assigning you to perimeter duty. I want hourly reports on any disturbances. I nodded, wondering if Reed suspected something. Yes, sir. As I left the command center, the resonator's pulse quickened. I ducked behind a supply shed and pulled it out, watching as its swirling colors intensified. They've breached the outer chamber, came Nira's voice from behind me. I spun around to find her standing there, her iridescent skin catching the sunlight. How do you do that? Phase shifting, she said simply. A natural ability of my species, which is the Luminar. We were the caretakers of the Nexus network before. She paused, something like pain crossing her features. Before we were nearly exterminated for it. By whom? It doesn't matter now. What matters is that your people have found the Helios Nexus far sooner than I anticipated. She reached out, her fingers hovering just above the resonator. May I? Reluctantly, I nodded. Her touch was electric, sending cascades of images through my mind-vast chambers filled with light. Intricate machinery pulsing with energy and countless beings connected to a central core. What you're seeing are my memories of the Nexus network, Nira explained. Each planet with a Nexus serves as a node in a vast communication system that spans galaxies. But if activated improperly, the consciousness merging you mentioned, I finished. Yes, a safeguard gone wrong. The visions faded. The resonator allows controlled access. Without it, the Nexus interprets all nearby. minds as intruders and attempts to assimilate them. So what's the plan? I can't exactly waltz into a high-security dig site and tell them to stop. No, Nira agreed. But we can use the resonator to temporarily deactivate the nexus. I need to get close enough to the main chamber. That's suicide, I protested. The place is crawling with security drones and soldiers. Then we'll need a distraction. Her silver eyes met mine. Do you trust me, Jace Mercer? It was the first time she'd used my first name, and something about the way she said it sent a shiver down my spine. Did I trust this alien woman I'd met just hours ago? The rational answer was no. But the resonator pulsed against my chest, and I found myself nodding. Against my better judgment, yes. Her lips curved into that almost smile. Good, because tonight we're going to steal something much more valuable than your dinner rations. The security around the excavation site was tighter than I'd expected. Automated turrets scanned the perimeter while patrol drones hummed overhead. From our vantage point on a rocky outcrop, the dig site resembled an illuminated wound in the planet's surface. There, Nira pointed to a narrow service tunnel. That's our entry point. How do you know the layout? I asked. Suspicious again. The resonator, she explained. It's connected to the nexus. It remembers. As if responding to her words, the pendant warmed against my skin. Strange how natural it felt now, like an extension of myself. I can disable the perimeter sensors. For 2 minutes, I said, accessing my command protocols through Ven. After that, we're on our own. Nira nodded, her expression solemn. Jace, there's something else you should know. She took my hand, and another vision flashed through my mind, this time of the resonator itself being forged, infused with something that looked disturbingly like DNA. But the resonator doesn't just connect to the nexus, she said quietly. It connects to its chosen bearer, to you. The longer you wear it, the more permanent the bond becomes. I pulled my hand away. You didn't think to mention this before? Would you have helped if I had? Her silver eyes reflected the distant lights of the dig site. The bond can be broken after we deactivate the nexus, I promise, before I could. Respond. A proximity alert flashed on my wrist unit. Patrol incoming, I whispered. Pulling Nira down behind a rock formation, a security drone passed overhead, its sensors sweeping the area. For a tense moment, I thought it had detected us, but it continued on its programmed route. Now, I said, activating the sensor override. We have 2 minutes. Moved quickly down the slope, keeping to the shadows. Nira moved with that uncanny grace, practically gliding over the rocky terrain, while I struggled to keep up. We reached the service tunnel just as my override expired. This tunnel leads to the secondary power grid, I explained as we crept forward. From there, we can access the main excavation. The tunnel was cramped, forcing us to move single file. I could feel Nira close behind me, her presence like a current of electricity raising the hairs on my neck. Your heart rate is elevated, she observed. Are you afraid? Cautious, I corrected. If we're caught, it's treason for me and dissection for you. Your species has such violent instincts, she murmured, but there was no judgment in her tone only. Curiosity? We emerged into a dimly lit maintenance room, filled with humming equipment. Beyond a reinforced door, I could hear the sounds of the excavation machinery. Voices, the scrape of tools against ancient metal. Nira placed her hand against the door, closing her eyes. They've breached the secondary chamber. The nexus is beginning to awaken, as if in response. The resonator at my chest pulsed more strongly, its warmth spreading through my body. With it came a strange sensation, like hearing a distant song growing gradually louder. I can feel it, I whispered. Surprised, Nira turned to me, her expression a mixture of concern and wonder. The bond is progressing faster than I expected. Your neural pathways are exceptionally compatible. Is that good or bad? This means you're more connected to the nexus than most would be. She hesitated. We'll make deactivation easier, but what the separation may be more difficult for you. Before I could ask what she meant, the door slid open, revealing Lieutenant Reed standing on the other side, pulse rifle raised. I thought I might find you here, Mercer, he said coldly, though I didn't expect you'd bring company. His eyes fixed on Nira, widening slightly at her obvious alien nature. care to explain why my best corporal is committing treason? Sir, I can explain, I began, positioning myself slightly in front of Nira. Save it, Mercer. Reed's pulse rifle remained steady, aimed at the center of my chest, right where the resonator hung hidden beneath my uniform. Command's been monitoring. Unusual energy signatures for weeks. We knew something non-human was observing the dig. His eyes flicked to Nira. We just didn't know what, Lieutenant Reed. Nira spoke, her melodic voice echoing strangely in the confined space. Your excavation has uncovered technology beyond your understanding. If activated improperly, it will cause catastrophic neural damage to everyone within a 100-kilometer radius. Reed's expression didn't change. It's more reason to secure both of you. Dr. Von Lith will be very interested in your ... insights. The name sent a chill through me. Dr. Estella Van Lith was the CDF's leading xenobiologist. Infamous for her thorough examination of non-human specimens, few survived her curiosity intact. Sir? She's telling the truth, I insisted. The structure you've uncovered is part of an ancient communication network. It's designed to merge consciousness, but without proper controls, it'll destroy minds instead. And I suppose this alien just happened to find you, our perimeter security officer, by coincidence? Reed's voice dripped with sarcasm. The resonator pulsed against my chest, suddenly hot. A warning. I felt something building in the air around us, a pressure, like the moment before a storm breaks. It's activating, Nira whispered urgently. The excavation must have triggered something. As if on cue, an alarm blared through the facility. Reed's comm unit crackled to life, Lieutenant. We've got a situation in the main chamber. Structure is emitting some kind of energy pulse. 3 researchers are down, unresponsive. Reed hesitated, eyes darting between us and the door leading deeper into the facility. Let us help, I pleaded. She knows how to deactivate it. For a moment, I thought he would refuse. Then the facility shuddered as another energy pulse rippled through it and the lights flickered. Fine, Reed growled, lowering his weapon slightly. But one wrong move, and I put you both down. Clear? We nodded and followed him through the doorway into chaos. The main excavation chamber was massive, a cathedral-like space carved from the planet's bedrock. At its center, partially unearthed, stood a towering structure of the same shifting metal as the resonator. Its surface rippled with pulses of light that matched the rhythm beating against my chest. Scientists and security. Personnel rushed about in panic as another pulse emanated from the structure, dropping 2 more researchers to the ground. Out there? Bodies convulsed briefly before going completely still, eyes open but vacant. Act out, canted. Their minds are wand. Their mind are so wowed. And act, I'm all act. I'm mowand. Am I wide? I ride I'm sigh we die I will when I was I'm all I'm psych or die why I'm my not we don't have much time. What do you need? Reed demanded. I need to reach the central core. She pointed to a glowing section near the base of the structure. And I need him. She nodded toward me. Reed hesitated only briefly before barking orders to clear a path. As we approached the nexus, the resonator grew almost painfully hot. I pulled it out from beneath my uniform. Gasps rippled through the room as everyone saw its surface matching the pulses of the larger structure. How did you get that? Dr. Van Lith herself emerged from the crowd, her cold eyes gleaming with scientific avarice. Not now, Dr. Reed snapped. They're trying to shut this thing down. Nira took my hand, and this time the connection was immediate and overwhelming. Images, emotions, and knowledge flooded my mind, not just glimpses. but a torrent of information about the Nexus, the Luminar, and Nira herself. I saw her world before its destruction, felt her centuries of solitude as she tracked down the remaining Nexus nodes, experienced her first sight of me through her eyes, my loneliness on this desolate outpost mirroring her own. Focus, Jace. Her voice came both aloud and inside my mind. The resonator responds to your thoughts. Picture the energy flowing back, contained dormant. I tried to concentrate as the facility shuddered around us. The Nexus was pulsing faster now, each wave. Dropping more personnel to the ground, Reed shouted orders to evacuate as Dr. Vanlith protested, demanding they secure the specimens first. With Nira's guidance, I pressed the resonator against the Nexus surface. The connection was like touching a live wire. Energy surged through me, using my body as a conduit. I could feel the vast consciousness of the Nexus, ancient and alien, pressing against my mind, trying to merge with it. Hold on. Nira's voice seemed distant now. You're doing it, Jace. Just a little longer. The pressure in my head built to an excruciating level. Through watering eyes, I saw Dr. Van Leith approaching with something in her hand, a containment device of some kind. Reed moved to intercept her, but another pulse from the Nexus sent him staggering. Almost there, Nira whispered, her hand tightening around mine. I'm sorry for what comes next. Before I could ask what she meant, she pressed her other hand against the Nexus surface, creating a circuit through our joined hands. The world exploded into light and sound. When my vision cleared, the pulsing had stopped. The Nexus stood dark and dormant, its surface now dull metal. Around us, those who had fallen began to stir, confused but apparently intact. But Nira had collapsed beside me, her iridescent skin now pale and faded. What happened? I demanded, cradling her. What did you do? Redirected the energy, she murmured, her silver eyes dimming. Through me instead of you. Your mind wouldn't have survived, and yours will. I felt panic rising in my throat. Her almost smile returned, weaker now. My species was designed for this purpose. I'll recover. ... Eventually. Reed approached cautiously, his weapon lowered but still ready. Is it deactivated? Dormant, Nira? Corrected weakly. It must be properly sealed. Rest. It knows how, Dr. Van Lith pushed forward. This technology must be studied. The applications would get everyone killed. Reed cut her off, surprising me. He looked at the fallen researchers, still being treated by medical staff. We've seen enough to know it's beyond our understanding. I helped Nira to her feet, supporting her weight against me. The resonator still hung from my neck, now cool and quiet, but I could feel its connection to both Nira and the Nexus like invisible threads binding us together. What happens now? I asked softly. Nira's eyes met mine. Now we seal the Nexus properly. And then... She hesitated. Then, I must find the others before they're discovered too. Others. There are more of these things. 17 across this sector of the galaxy, she confirmed. All eventually at risk of discovery as your species expands. Reed overheard our exchange. Command will want a full debrief on this. Both of you are technically in custody. I tensed, ready to argue, but Nira placed a calming hand on my arm. We'll cooperate, Lieutenant, after we've ensured everyone's safety.
Something
Passed between Reed and Niran, understanding of sorts. He nodded curtly and stepped back, as we began the process of properly sealing the Nexus. Guided by the knowledge flowing through the resonator, I couldn't help but wonder what would happen once this was finished. Would Nira leave? Would I be court-martialed? And what about the bond I now felt, not just to the resonator, but to Nira herself? The questions swirled in my mind, but for now, they would have to wait. We had a planet to save. 3 days had passed since we deactivated the Nexus. 3 days of debriefings. Medical examinations, intense negotiations between CDF Command and Nira. To my surprise, Reed had advocated for cooperation rather than captivity, especially after the resonator had demonstrated its power by completely sealing the Nexus chamber with a barrier no CDF technology could penetrate. I sat alone in my quarters, the resonator warm against my skin. Since the incident, the connection had only grown stronger. At times, I could feel Nira's presence even when she was in the secure quarters they'd assigned her across the compound. Then, status update on the diplomatic team's ETA, I requested. Diplomatic vessel is scheduled to arrive in 17 hours. Corporal Mercer, the AI replied. Lieutenant Reed has requested your presence at the pre-arrival briefing in 30 minutes. I acknowledged the reminder and closed my eyes, focusing on the resonator. Over the past days, I'd learned to use it more intentionally, sifting through the knowledge it contained. Most was incomprehensible mathematical equations and concepts, beyond human understanding, but occasionally, I glimpsed memories that felt distinctly like Nira's. A soft knock at my door pulled me from my meditation. I knew who it was before. Opening it, the resonator's pulse had quickened, as it always did when she was near. They've allowed you to visit? I asked as Nira entered, looking more recovered than the last time I'd seen her. Her skin had regained its subtle iridescence, and her silver eyes were bright again. Lieutenant Reed has been surprisingly reasonable, she replied. Perhaps he recognizes that keeping us separated weakens our ability to properly maintain the Nexus seal. Or perhaps he's just following orders until the diplomats arrive to take over. I gestured for her to sit. Once they're here, I doubt we'll have much freedom. Nira settled gracefully onto the edge of my bed, her gaze falling to the resonator visible at the collar of my uniform. How is it, the connection? Stronger, I admitted. I can feel echoes of you sometimes. Memories, emotions. I hesitated. Is that normal? The resonator creates a bridge between mine's mind, yours, and the Nexus. She leaned closer, examining the pendant. But the connection between us specifically seems unusually strong. Your mind is remarkably compatible with the technology. Lucky me, I said dryly. Though in truth, I'd grown accustomed to the constant presence in my mind. It was almost comforting, like never being truly alone. You've been practicing, she observed. Accessing the knowledge within the resonator. I nodded. I've seen your world. It was beautiful. Sadness flickered across her features. It was before the schism. The war that nearly destroyed your people, I said, recalling the fragments of memory I'd glimpsed. Over the Nexus network? Some believed it should be used to elevate all species to a shared consciousness. Others, like my faction, believed such merging should be voluntary and controlled. Her voice grew distant.
Ow.
The Ascendants won. They activated the network improperly, and billions died as their minds were forcibly merged. Those of us who survived scattered across the galaxy, seeking to deactivate or protect the remaining nodes. And you've been alone all this time? How long? By your measurement, nearly 3 centuries. She said it matter-of-factly. But I felt the weight of her solitude through our connection. Without thinking, I reached for her hand. The moment our skin touched, the resonator flared with heat, and the connection between us deepened. Suddenly, I wasn't just seeing her memories, I was experiencing them as if they were my own. The beauty of her homeworld, the terror of its destruction, the endless, lonely years traveling between stars. And she was experiencing my childhood on Earth's lunar colony. The loss of my parents in the Titan mining disaster, my enlistment in the CDF to escape the orphanage, and the isolation of my posting on Helios-7. When we finally broke contact, her silver eyes were wide with emotion. I didn't realize, double quotes, she began. Neither did I whispered. The resonator pulsed between us, its rhythm matching our accelerated heartbeats. The air seemed charged with possibility as we stared at each other, the barriers between our minds thinning with each passing moment. Ven's alert tone shattered the moment. Reminder, briefing in 5 minutes. Corporal Mercer. I reluctantly stood. Have to go. Reed will be suspicious if I'm late. Nira nodded, rising with that fluid grace. Be careful what you reveal in the briefing. The diplomatic team will be primarily interested in the technology, not the warnings. I know. I hesitated at the door. Will you be here when I get back? Alma's smile appeared, warmer now than before. Where else would I go? My mission is here. The resonator is here. Her silver eyes met mine. You were here. The briefing was exactly as I'd expected, a dry recitation of protocols for the diplomatic team's arrival, followed by strict instructions on what information was classified. Dr. Van Lith was particularly vocal about keeping the resonator's capabilities secret until proper studies could be conducted. The alien subject has been cooperative, read summarized, but her claims about the Nexus network remain unverified. Till the diplomatic team arrives, all personnel are to maintain minimal contact with her. I kept my expression neutral, though. I could feel the resonator warming against my skin in response to my irritation. Nira wasn't a subject to be studied. She was a person, the last of her kind, trying to prevent a catastrophe. As the briefing concluded, Reed pulled me aside. A word, Mercer. We moved to a quiet corner of the command center. Reed studied me with those sharp eyes that missed nothing. The resonator. You're still wearing it? It wasn't a question? Yes, sir. It's necessary to maintain the Nexus seal. According to the alien. According to Nira, I corrected, perhaps too forcefully. And given that she saved everyone in the excavation site, maybe we should start using her name.
Ow.
Reed's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. You've developed quite an attachment to her in a short time. I felt heat rising in my face. She risked her life to save ours. That earned some respect in my book. Respect? Yes. Reed leaned closer, lowering his voice. But I've seen how you look at her, Mercer. This goes beyond respect. The question is whether it's genuine or an effect of that thing around your neck.
Always the
Suggestion hit me like a physical blow. I hadn't considered that the resonator might be influencing my feelings toward Nira, but even as the doubt crept in, I felt the bond between us pulse with a warmth that seemed too real to be artificial. My personal feelings aren't relevant to the mission, sir, I said stiffly. They are when they might compromise your judgment. Reed straightened. The diplomatic team includes specialists who will examine both the Nexus and the resonator. We'll cooperate fully with their assessment. And Nira. The alien will be treated according to first contact protocols. His tone softened slightly, which means no dissection, if that's what you're worried about. It was something, at least. I nodded and turned to leave, but Reed called after me. Mercer, whatever you're feeling, be sure it's really you. His words followed me as I returned to my quarters, where Nira waited. She took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. The briefing did not go well, she observed. Reed thinks. The resonator might be influencing my feelings. I touched the pendant, now a familiar weight against my chest. Is that possible? Nira approached me slowly. The resonator creates a connection, yes, but it cannot create emotions that weren't already there. How can I be sure? I asked, voicing the doubt Reed had planted. We've known each other less than a week, yet I feel like... I trailed off, unable to articulate the depth of connection. I felt like you've known me across lifetimes, she finished. The resonator accelerates understanding, Jace. It doesn't fabricate it. She held out her hand, palm up an invitation, not a demand. After a moment's hesitation, I took it. This time, the connection was different, not memories or knowledge, but pure emotion flowing between us. I felt her loneliness, her fear, her growing affection for me. And I knew she could feel my confusion, my doubt, and beneath it all, the unmistakable pull I felt toward her. This is real, she whispered. Whatever happens tomorrow when your diplomats arrive, remember that. The resonator pulsed between us, warm and insistent, as I drew her closer. When our lips met, the connection flared like a star going nova. Minds and bodies entwined in a moment of perfect understanding. Whatever came next. Whatever the diplomatic team decided, this bond resonator, or no resonator, was something I would fight to protect. The diplomatic vessel arrived precisely on schedule, descending through Helios 7's thin atmosphere with the distinctive hum of high-efficiency engines. From our vantage point near the command center, Nira and I watched as the sleek ship settled. Onto the landing pad, its polished hull reflecting the harsh morning sunlight. They brought a Stillwater-class diplomatic cruiser, I noted, recognizing the design. Those usually carry a full scientific complement alongside the diplomatic team. Nira's expression remained neutral, but through our now constant connection, I felt her apprehension. They intend to study the Nexus extensively. And you, I added quietly. And this. I touched the resonator, which had grown so familiar that I sometimes forgot it wasn't part of me. Lieutenant Reed approached, his uniform freshly pressed for the occasion. "They're ready for us," he said briskly. "Remember the protocols we discussed?" The diplomatic team consisted of 5 individuals. Ambassador Thurston, a stern-faced woman with calculating eyes, her aide, whose name I immediately forgot, Dr. Kasim, the chief xenotechnologist, Security Director Wolf, and Dr. Vanlith, looking entirely too pleased with herself. "The subject should be restrained during the initial examination," Dr. Vanlith was saying as we entered the conference room. "That won't be necessary," Ambassador Thurston replied coolly. "First contact protocols are clear, Doctor. We begin with dialogue, not dissection." I felt a surge of relief through my connection with Nira, though her outward appearance remained composed. As we were introduced to the team, the ambassador's gaze lingered on the resonator at my neck. "Corporal Mercer, I understand you've developed a unique relationship with this artifact." "Yes, ma'am. It's established a neural connection that allows me to help maintain the Nexus seal." Dr. Kasim leaned forward, eyes bright with scientific curiosity. "And this connection, can you describe the sensation, the information transfer?" Before I could answer, Dr. Vanlith interrupted. "The corporal lacks the scientific background to accurately describe the neurological effects. We should proceed with a proper examination in a controlled environment." "I can speak for myself," I said firmly. "So can Nira. The resonator creates a bridge between minds, human, Luminor, and the Nexus itself. It contains knowledge about the entire network. Knowledge that could benefit humanity immensely," Dr. Vanlith pressed. Nira spoke for the first time since entering the room. "The Nexus technology was not designed for exploitation. Its purpose is connection voluntary. Controlled sharing of consciousness across species. And yet it nearly killed several of our researchers," Security Director Wolf noted dryly. "Because it was accessed improperly," Nira countered. "The resonator is the key to safe interaction." Ambassador Thurston studied us both with those calculating eyes. "What exactly are you proposing, Nira, of the Luminar? That we simply seal away this technology? That humanity might someday access it properly?" "I propose cooperation," Nira said simply. "There are 16 other Nexus nodes in this sector of the galaxy. All will eventually be discovered as your species expands. I cannot protect them all alone." A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. 16 more sites of potentially catastrophic power scattered across the stars. "And what would this cooperation entail?" Ambassador asked finally. "A joint mission," I said, the idea forming as I spoke. Nira's knowledge, CDF resources. We locate the remaining nodes, establish proper security protocols, and study the technology safely. Dr. Vanlith scoffed. "And put this alien in control of the most powerful technology we've ever encountered? Absurd." "Not in control," Nira corrected, "in partnership, as Jace and I have been." The debate continued for hours, growing increasingly. Heated as the various factions argued their positions, Dr. Vanlith demanded immediate study of both the resonator and Nira herself. Security Director Wolf advocated for destroying the Nexus entirely. Dr. Kasim proposed a middle ground of cautious research. Throughout it all, a resonator pulsed steadily against my chest, and through our connection, Nira and I maintained a private dialogue beneath the spoken words. "They fear what they don't understand," her thoughts came to me. Can you blame them? This technology nearly caused a disaster 3 days ago, and could bring unimaginable benefits if approached correctly. Your species stands at a crossroads, Jake. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows through the conference room windows, Ambassador Thurston finally raised her hand for silence. "I've heard enough to make an initial determination," she announced. "The Nexus clearly represents both an opportunity and a threat. While further study is warranted, it must be conducted with appropriate safeguards." She turned to Nira. "Your knowledge is invaluable, and your warning about the other nodes cannot be ignored. I am prepared to recommend a joint exploratory mission." Under CDF oversight, but with your full participation as an advisor, Dr. Van Lith began to protest, but the ambassador silenced her with a look. As for the resonator, she continued, turning to me, it appears to be uniquely bonded to Corporal Mercer. Dr. Kasim will conduct non-invasive studies to understand its capabilities. But it will remain with the corporal for now. Relief washed through me, echoed by Nira's own through our connection. There is one condition, the ambassador added. Before this mission can proceed, we need proof that this partnership is viable. Corporal Mercer, you and Nira will demonstrate the resonator's capabilities by safely opening a controlled access point to the Nexus. We need to verify that this technology can indeed be used safely before committing resources to finding more of it. My eyes met Nira's across the table. What the ambassador was asking was risky. Creating even a small opening in the seal could potentially trigger another energy cascade if not handled perfectly. We can do this, Nira's thoughts came to me. Together. Are you sure? The resonator chose you for a reason, Jace. Our connection is strong enough. I nodded to the ambassador. We accept your condition. We'll demonstrate tomorrow at dawn when the Nexus energy is naturally at its lowest ebb. The excavation site was eerily quiet as we descended into the main chamber the next morning. The massive Nexus structure remained as we had left it dormant, its surface dull and unresponsive. Only the resonator at my chest showed any sign of life, pulsing with increasing warmth as we approached. Ambassador Thurston and her team observed from a safe distance, while Lieutenant Reed stood closer, pulse rifle ready in case something went wrong. The procedure is simple in theory, Nira explained to the observers. The resonator will create a small aperture in the seal, allowing controlled access to the Nexus's knowledge repository without triggering a full activation. And what exactly will we see if this works? Dr. Kasim asked eagerly. A demonstration of true consciousness sharing, Nira replied. A glimpse of what the Nexus was designed to facilitate. She turned to me, taking both my hands in hers. The resonator flared between us, and I felt our connection deepen as it had each time we touched. But stronger, now a complete merging of thoughts and feelings. Ready? Her question echoed in my mind as I'll ever be. Together, we approached the Nexus surface. I removed the resonator from around my neck, feeling a momentary sense of loss as it left my skin, and held it against the dull metal of the structure. Nira placed her hands over mine, and we both closed our eyes, focusing on the connection between us. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the resonator began to glow brighter, its light pulsing in a complex rhythm that matched the beating of our hearts. The Nexus surface beneath it responded, a small circle of metal beginning to shimmer and shift, colors swirling like liquid starlight. It's working, Dr. Kasim whispered from behind us. The resonator grew hotter in our joined hands, and I felt the familiar pressure building in my mind as the Nexus consciousness pressed against the edges of my own. But this time, with Nira's presence interwoven with mine. The pressure wasn't painful, it was exhilarating. A small aperture formed in the Nexus surface, no larger than a dinner plate, revealing a swirling vortex of light and color within. As it stabilized, tendrils of energy reached out, touching first Nira and me, then extending toward the observers. Don't be afraid, Nira called to them. It's offering connection, voluntary controlled as it was meant to be. Ambassador Thurston stepped forward cautiously, her earlier composure replaced by wonder as one of the tendrils hovered before her. After a moment's hesitation, she reached out and touched it. Her eyes widened. I can feel ... everything. Everyone. Her voice was barely a whisper. It's beautiful. One by one, the others followed Evan Doctor,